Hello, everyone. Welcome to this talk by Achim Hoffmann. He is the investment director at IP Group, and IP Group is actually one of the few UK institutional investors that invested early on in graphene and also, I guess, similar kinds of technologies. Therefore, they come with a wealth of experience. So we're gonna hear about his journey and his perspectives on hunting material unicorns. So as usual, I'll disappear and the stage is yours, Achim.
Great, thanks, Cash. As the title tells you, it's going to be a slightly less technical presentation this time. It's going to be a very high-level top-down view from an investor, deep tech investor, early-stage investor into the space, into the general space, tech space, but also specifically materials. So hunting the materials unicorn. Why unicorn? The unicorns in the VC venture capital industry are defined as a $1 billion valued privately held startup. It's a measure of success. If you can build a unicorn, there's credibility. There are not that, well, there are quite a few more nowadays, but historically when it started in the 1990s, there were just very, very few amongst Alphabet and Google and so on. Where do we all fit? Cash already mentioned some of it. IP Group into this session, into this whole advanced materials business. 20 years ago, we were founded in the UK with the intention to bridge a gap between the London city, the financial district, where there was a lot of cash available, and the universities, where there was a lot of good research going, a lot of patents developed, but the route to commercialization was a little bit unclear. Standard rules for the tech transfer offices at universities was then to try to license to larger corporates to gain royalty fees. There were a few more entrepreneurial academics to try then to do spin-out companies. The way it usually works is then the IP is then transferred into those spin-out companies. Funding was relatively difficult 20 years ago. Angels were the only way, people who wanted to invest at this early high-risk stage. That's what IP Group tried to fix the problem and provide funding for early stage high-risk IP-heavy companies. But in addition to funding, it was also a lot of business building capabilities we added, brought in CEOs, chairmen, networks, and follow-on investors as well during those different stages of the company. We ourselves, we got our funding from other investors, larger fund investors, mainly in the London City area. That was the initial money coming from. Now we've got about 150 portfolio companies, and we've developed a sustainable business model where we exit companies at a higher value at a later stage, and then reinvest that company, that cash into earlier stage propositions again, which is working. The link between spin-out companies, larger corporates, still very important. A, as a customer. B, the corporate venture capital system is now starting up and launching. Every big corporate now has a venture arm, and we're trying as side investors, co-investors into our portfolios, and also ultimately as exit opportunity to sell to those companies, our portfolios. I think there's actually a very important bigger role to play, but I'll get to that later on for the corporates, specifically in this advanced materials space. What else we did is over the last 15 years then added America, an Australian team, Kiwi team, and also a team in China with access to different funds. Where do we invest? It's a life science team, medtech and biopharma, doing really well since also over the pandemic. We've got a very active clean tech team that's very on topic. Impact investment is where money goes at the moment. ICT, software, SaaS, artificial intelligence, VR, AR, robotics, still very invested in quantum tech. We are very big on quantum tech. They're very investable technology areas, as you will see shortly as well. I'm sitting in the engineering advanced materials sector, which is a little bit the ugly sister nowadays, and it's very hard to get funding competing against all these other sectors. And I'm constantly trying, because I'm passionate about this area. I'm a chemical engineer myself. Trying to find ways, how can we make this more exciting, more investable propositions. So at the moment, the initial advice would always be, if you can find a clean tech angle, there's money to be had. It's much easier. Going ahead, unicorns. What are the unicorns? There are about 600 globally at the moment. 10 are $1 billion propositions, and there's one hectocorn at the moment past 100